Yeah, that body's a blessing, girl.
Number 10. The Numbers Gang. ThePollsmoor Prison is located in Cape Town, South Africa, and is famous for two reasons. The first is that Nelson Mandela was imprisoned there for 6 years. The second is that the prison is basically run by three different gangs. The 26, the 27s, and the 29s are known as a whole as the Numbers Gang. The gangs have a pretty easy to understand pitch when it comes to recruiting new members. Join a gang or get raped and possibly murdered. Number 9. Sun Yee On. The Triads, which is colloquially known as the Chinese mafia, dates back to the 17th century. They originally formed as a society that wanted to overthrow the Qing dynasty and restore the Ming dynasty. They ultimately failed, but the bond between the members survived. Today, it's believed that there are 57 triad societies, and the biggest of this group is Sun Yee On, which was formed in 1919 and are Hong Kong based. It's unclear how many members they have, but it is suspected that they have over 60,000 members worldwide. Number 8. D Company. D Company was started by Daud Ibrahim in Bombay, India in 1976. Ibrahim was raised Muslim and lived in a predominantly Muslim area of Bombay. Despite the fact that his father was a police constable, Ibrahim and his brother got involved in petty crime as teenagers and eventually developed a gang with their friends. In the mid-1980s, the gang made a power grab over the gang that had a monopoly over the Bombay underground, the Lala clan, and after a short war, D Company came out the victor. However, Ibrahim was wanted for murder, so he was forced to leave India and moved to Dubai. Number 7. Yamaguchi-gumi. Japan's organized crime syndicate, the Yakuza, is comprised of 21 Boryokudan, and the biggest one is Yamaguchi-gumi, which is headed by Kenichi Shinoda, who is the gang's sixth Ibakumicho. The group was founded in 1915 by Harukichi Yamaguchi in Kobe, Japan. Number 6. The Albanian Mafia. Today, it's believed that there are 15 different crime families operating in Albania. Their major areas of revenue are trafficking heroin and human smuggling. They're considered a hybrid group as they not only deal in criminal activities but are heavily involved in political activities as well. Number 5. Andrangheta. Andrangheta first formed in the Calabrian prison system in the late 1800s, but they started to come into power over a century and a half later in the 1960s and 1970s when they would kidnap people for ransom. Using the ransom money, they invested in cocaine and were the first family to exploit the drug market. Cosa Nostra, who was the dominant gang at that time, was not as quick to get into the drug trade. Instead, they were focusing their efforts on a violent push against the government, who were trying to clamp down on their illegal activities. Number 4. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant was started in 2004 as Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and after several leaders were killed. They changed their name to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and in between were known as the Islamic State of Iraq. These days, the names ISIS and ISIL are basically interchangeable. Currently, they have strongholds in Iraq and Syria. Many of you listening this are probably thinking that ISIL is a terrorist group, and you are totally correct. However, that doesn't make them any less of a criminal organization. Number 3. Solensevskaya Bratva. Solensevskaya Bratva is the Russian mafia, but very little is known about them. It's believed to have been started by Sergei Mikhailov, who fancies himself more of a businessman than a gangster. The syndicate does not have a rigid central structure. Instead, it's 10 autonomous groups that work fairly independent of each other. However, there is a 12-person board that meets regularly and they will pool resources. They also have chapters on every continent except Antarctica. Number 2. Mara Salvatruca. The United States has more than its share of violent groups and crime syndicates. There are motorcycle gangs like the Hells Angels and the Mongols, or urban gangs like the Blood and the Crips. But for the FBI, the most troublesome is Mara Salvatrucha, better known as MS-13. Currently, they are the only gang that has a dedicated task force assigned to them. MS-13 was started in the 1980s in Los Angeles by immigrants from El Salvador who were fleeing from a civil war. Since then, MS-13 have grown to become a transnational criminal organization. They have 6,000 to 10,000 members spread across 42 states and DC, along with international chapters which are called cliques in Canada, Mexico, El Salvador, and Guatemala. Number 1. Los Zetas. Los Zetas is a Mexican criminal syndicate considered by the US government to be the most technologically advanced, sophisticated, efficient, violent, ruthless, and dangerous cartel operating in Mexico. The organization has expanded beyond the traditional purview of drug trafficking and also run profitable sex trafficking and gun running rackets. The origins of Los Zetas date back to the late 1990s when commandos of the Mexican army deserted their ranks and began working as the enforcement arm of the Gulf Cartel. In February 2010, Los Zetas broke away from their former employer and formed their own criminal organization.